Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So, Jay, yesterday we talked a little bit about this. The PBC and Canelo Alvarez split due to the fact that Canelo wanted a guarantee of $35 million. And it was also reported that Canelo Alvarez was going back to Matchroom to work with Eddie Hearns in an attempt to negotiate a fight with either Munguia or Berlanga. Now, Eddie Hearns did mention that he had been in contact with Canelo Alvarez and that Canelo did instruct him to start negotiations with Haymon Munguia. But we got to pump the brakes because Oscar De La Hoya also had the opportunity to interview. And Oscar said that fight is not happening in May. Now, I want to touch on something else that Oscar mentioned because, quite frankly, I thought about the exact same thing, Jay, yesterday as the news broke that Canelo Alvarez was stepping away from the PBC. And when you think about this, Canelo, in my personal opinion, may be between a rock and a hard place. I think he's been in a position for quite some time now where he can basically fleece these companies. He had the ability to fleece DAZN. He had the ability to fleece Oscar De La Hoya. And I don't think that they were really getting a return on the dollars that he was expecting. Now, a lot of people wanted to spin this into, the PBC was broke and they didn't have the money to do XYZ. Some people were in the comment section saying Rick Glacier was correct, even though Rick Glacier's report did not align to what Mike Coppinger reported. Mike Coppinger being someone who also doesn't care for the PBC. And my expectation would be if Mike Coppinger had the opportunity to say that the PBC didn't have the money to pay Canelo Alvarez, they would have done just that. I think he's in a situation right now where, simply put, people are not willing to pay that kind of money to fight substandard opponents. Oscar De La Hoya weighed in and said that Canelo Alvarez is demanding $35 million and that no one is going to pay him that kind of money, Jay, because in order to pay him $35 million and for the networks to make a profit, for Oscar De La Hoya and his entity and his company to make a profit, guess what? They are going to have to sell 1 million pay-per-view buys. And if I remember correctly, the last time Canelo Alvarez sold 1 million pay-per-view buys, it was against Gennady Golovkin. He's not going to do that probably with anybody else, maybe other than David Benavidez, because I believe that there's such pent-up demand for him to get into the ring with Benavidez due to the Mexican and Mexican-American population that are interested in that fight.
Yep.
So I agree with Oscar. I don't think Munguia is happening in May, according to Oscar. And Canelo's stuck between a rock and a hard place, honestly. I don't know. He's not working with PBC right now, but I think there's potential for him to eventually circle back to PBC because I don't think he's going to get $35 million guaranteed with Matchroom because guess what? Berlanga's not going to sell that. He's not going to get it on DAZN or with Golden Boy because Munguia's not going to sell that, although I think Munguia can be profitable. I don't think it's going to be $35 million guaranteed profitable. So I think there's a possibility that at some point he could circle back to a David Benavidez fight because guess what? In order to make that kind of money, you actually have to fight the opponents that people want to see you in the ring with, period. End of story. There's nothing else to discuss. So what he's been trying to do, what he's attempted to do is continue to fleece these entities, whether it's the promoters, the networks or whatever, these huge purses where they're not making any money. We know DAZN has been losing millions of dollars for years, and I would imagine that a portion of that is contributed to Canelo Alvarez. And one other thing that I want to add, Jay, before I pass it over to you. People keep talking about the PBC and they didn't hold up their end of the bargain. Well, if they were contractually obligated to pay Canelo Alvarez $35 million and that was a part of the deal, why isn't Canelo willing to just sue him? Why is he just walking away? He sued DAZN. Because the deal wasn't structured that way. That's the reason why he's suing. He's not suing because the deal was not structured in that manner. Jay, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, when I was listening to it, when I sent it to you, I was listening to when Oscar said it, I was like, yep, makes sense. Plus, he said also they asked him if he and Canelo had spoken. He said they hadn't spoken since probably Ryan's last fight or fight before last. And he doesn't even have his number. It's like they don't have a relationship. We saw how that went, and we know Haymon Munguia is under Golden Boy. Oscar's not going to be too kind to Canelo. Be like, okay, we'll get $35 million for you. Here you go, and we're going to take the shitty end of the stick, like he tried to do to David Benavidez. Now, from what Jose Benavidez Sr. said, they were willing to take the $5 million, which was the minimum that Canelo's going to give him. I'm like, you want to give David $5 million to fight you, and this fight's going to be a mega fight? I'm just like, not cool at all. But to your point, he's been between a rock and a hard place because Munguia's with Oscar. Edgar Berlanga is not going to sell like that. Edgar just had a fight in Orlando. He won his fight by a knockout, and he asked the crowd, "Is he ready? Y'all ready to see him fight Canelo?" And the crowd was just like, "Nah, not really." I mean, his last 6 fights, he's had 1 knockout. He hasn't fight in the top competition either. He's a young fighter with great potential, but yet again, he has great potential, but that's it. He didn't have a big backing just yet, so that's not going to happen no time soon. As far as Canelo just not taking a fight with David Benavidez is very annoying, and no one's going to pay for it. No one should be paying to see him fight Edgar or Haymon Munguia when there's the best fighter in his weight class is right there, and he's been his manager for over 2 years. So I mean, Canelo's stuck, and I don't really agree with Oscar too often, but in this case here, I agree with him, and the numbers don't add up for Canelo to be fighting Haymon Munguia for that amount of money or Edgar for that amount of money, regardless of what those fighters may take. They may take the shitty end of the stick, but still, though, you got to get your money back. You got to get your money back, and we saw what he did to the zone already. We saw he left Golden Boy already. So, I mean, now he's doing it to Al Haymon and PBC. So, I mean, sooner or later, the common denominator in all of that is Canelo. He's not fighting the best fighter right now. And that's what he's been doing, and this has nothing against him as far as his ability. He's a great fighter. Definitely a great fighter. Damn good fighter. But he needs to fight the best available, which is David Benavidez. He's not doing that. Oscar pretty much said that Haymon Munguia is off the table for May 4th, which right now it is, but you never know. Money talk, bullshit walks. So that may come back around, but if it comes back around, I don't think Canelo's going to get that $35 million guarantee. I don't think Oscar's going to opponent that up to be in the red again. It ain't going to happen that way.
I totally agree with that. Like I said, rock in a hard place. I feel for Canelo Alvarez because I think all roads leads to David Benavidez if he's looking for a huge payday. I think that's the biggest payday. We're going to see people in the comment section talking about Terence Crawford. I think Terence Crawford is probably the second biggest payday, just from name recognition perspective.
Won't do that either.
Huh?
He won't do that either.
Doesn't seem like it. And like I said before in my other video, I'm starting to question whether or not it's a situation where he doesn't believe he can beat Terence Crawford because, as I mentioned before, this dude will take anybody that he can believe that he can get his guaranteed purse against and that he'll win. So if Terence Crawford was that easy of a mark and he believed that he would actually beat him, Terence Crawford would be in the ring with him on May 4th. So I'm really starting to question whether or not these Terence Crawford fans actually have a point here. Sometimes I'm wrong. It's not usual that I'm wrong. I'm typically right. And we all know this. And everybody that's watching this video knows this as well. Yeah, I said it. But anyway, you guys tell us what you think in the comment section in regards to Canelo Alvarez. I mean, it is a situation where I think he is stuck between a rock and a hard place. Don't be surprised if he eventually circle back to the PBC and David Benavidez if he wants a huge payday. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe to both this channel and AM Sports Cover 4, where we cover college football in depth. Go check it out. The link will be pinned to the top of the comment section in this particular video. Until next time, peace.